What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in to today's video. I wanted to elaborate on my trades that I placed this week. And yeah, let's get and jump in. The first trade I wanted to elaborate was on Bitcoin that I took at a very decisional point. On X, I posted about this, that every retracement for a lower high for a lower low can be traded, and I saw the opportunity that this was a range for a lower high for a lower low, and therefore I was looking at this range. We had a nice supply here that was created on the move down. We had a low that front ran a liquidity low down here. It grabbed this one, but this is a main low and it front run that. So that's why I was very confident in this short to play out. It was the usual daily range. This means that you get your Asia lows, you get your London, you get a New York, and New York does a confirmation of the model after hours, and usually you expect then the flush, but here it was more like this. So I want to elaborate on this trade, my thought process and trade management. So yeah, we were uptrending, so I'm looking obviously at potential distribution ranges, and this retracement leg was very high probability because there was no supply created, and here we had a nice liquidity high that we grabbed. We grabbed right here, and we broke structure right here. Yeah. So this was the setup, and what I really liked about this setup was that it was like the New York PM session, so it was not the manipulation hour, and you can see the buy to sell into slow consolidation to the liquidity level with an aggressive move up, took the liquidity and broke the market structure, entered right around here. I like to wait the candles to see if it's a bad break or not, and here I just entered on the retracement, and this was the target. And after that, price literally was building buy side liquidity. So we had initially here a supply block that we were in the whole time. And technically speaking, after breaking this low, you can trail your SL to this high because this is your new invalidation. And in a normal trading environment, I would have trailed my SL to here, but when you see such a liquidity curvature, you are asking to get stopped out, because usually what happens, you get this deeper mitigation before the continuation. And if price has some distance, this is not a liquidity high. This could be a liquidity high, or when some highs form here, these are liquidity highs. But if this high is that close to all the other highs, it will get liquidity over time. So I was a bit cautious about that, and I did not trail my SL to here immediately, because I wanted to see what price does. And here, as I said, if I have put my SL here, I would have got stopped out for nothing. And that's why I waited and I saw this aggressive sell to buy, and I followed the market structure to see where will be the level 2 break. And we can see after hours the candle look a bit ugly. And here you can see, following the market structure, we're going up, down, and here we broke structure again in a very nice way. And what I did here, I trailed my stop loss to the new invalidation, and I risk back the risk that I took off here. I risk it back on this break. So initially I was, let's say it was 0.32 is 1%, and you can trail now to 0.2. So like 30%, let's say, a bit more than 30%, you can now trail the stop loss and add, for example, the $300 again, and still only risk 1% by having a much higher position size and refining it like this. This was like a 7 RR, a bit less. I think it was, I got filled right around here. I had like 6.8 somewhat. And yeah, after that, I was very tired because this is a time where I usually go to sleep, like around 10 o'clock. And it was just very, very late for me. Here, when I entered, it was, yeah, like 11:30. And therefore, I was very, 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 very tired. Here, we had supply block creation that got mitigated here. But here, technically speaking, I could have trailed it to here, and I would be like risk off. And I saw, okay, we took out this low, and we went up and took out this high again, and then took out the low again. So in this price action, I was like falling asleep over and over again, but I still was monitoring, and I said, well, now there is no reason. There wasn't a reason to take out this high, but now there won't be a reason to take out this high. But I still said, well, I will risk the 1%, and if I get stopped out, I get stopped out. I didn't even care about that. And well, I risk on this idea, I only risk 0.5%, I have to say. I did not risk a whole percent because it was a very tight range, like 13 hours. Until here it was like 18 hours, and here it was just getting stretched out. And I usually don't like to trade these low time frame ranges. I like to trade ranges above 1 day in duration. So there's actually significance in this range, but I overall like this development and I wanted to give it a shot. So I risked 0.5% and I got stopped out. And interesting is that here it is at 2 o'clock, the daily open, and this is the low of May as for now. And as you can see, we opened and shot up immediately. I will elaborate on this in the next video. I think it will be on Sunday, where I will elaborate on my thought on this price action. But I can already tell that putting the monthly low on the first minute of the month is very, very unlikely. An exception is in market phases where we are expanding aggressively, but in this environment we are not, well, this is an aggressive expansion, but we are not in a bull run phase where we can expect very aggressive pushes up. So I will say that this for me is pure manipulation. And yeah, on the other position, it was a bigger one from up here. I trade my stop loss and got stopped out at break even right here. So I entered here. Initially I had my stop loss here and targeting way lower. But when I saw price expanding that high, I just put my stop loss to break even, and I only lost some money on the fees, and that's it. So basically it was a break even trade. Yeah, that's for that. And I'm still waiting for something new here, and I'm still expecting lower prices, but as I said, I will elaborate on this on another video. So now I want to talk about the little frog paper. Here I was looking at an internal range that I really liked. So we had this range here. Come on, thank you. So overall context, you can see we had a low, we front ran this low, and since then we are only creating lows over and over again, front running the low before. And this is an indication for me personally that this could be an distribution phase that is going on. And right here I was monitoring this potential distribution. So let's see the P&L shot. BitUnix really has the best P&L shots in the game. So yeah, here again I only risk a 0.5%, and I will elaborate on this too. So let me check I was looking at this. So you can clearly see the uptrend here. Yeah, so we had our tab 1, we had our tab 2, and then we had this aggressive buy to sell, indicating for me personally in this moment that sellers are in control and the distribution process can be very nearby. So what happens often, we see those aggressive moves up into supply. I think we had some refined supply here. No, okay. But you can see when price does not respect the supply around here, here's only liquidity. So that's why I was looking at this price action here. Let's see. Okay. So we had some aggressive moves up, and you can see we had some sort of a topping formation here, and what I did not like was this curvature of liquidity. But as we came up, we had a nice topping formation here, an aggressive move up, and this is what I like to see, this structured move up. And then I think it was like a 3 minute, let's see. Yeah, now. So a 5 minute, yeah. So this is a very important lesson, and that's why I only risk 0.5%. So as I said, I was looking for a rejection immediately of the supply, and we had these structured moves coming up into supply. We had demand down here, and that's why I did not enter on the break up here. Even the break was very, very poor because it was down here. So if you see an aggressive move up, you don't want to see the break take like the triple of the time of going up. But I saw this demand failure, and I just wanted to see sellers step in. And here we had this big candle, and here at this point I really shorted the lows. It is what it is sometimes. I was targeting like this, taking the first TP here and the last here. So I saw the opportunity, but I saw that price can go up and disrespect this range. But I entered here because Bitcoin for me at this point was distributing, and every move up on an altcoin is a bigger move up on Bitcoin, and every move down on Bitcoin is a bigger move down on altcoins. That's why I wanted to give it a shot, de-risk here with like 0.25% I would be risk off, and then let the rest ride until this low here. But I got stopped out, and now I am looking at a new range here, at this potential range. If we get the move up, you can see how tight this price action is. You can already tell that something needs to happen. Either this thing rips up, or we really are respecting this distribution and come down. But I can't imagine that this won't just flush when we get the Model 1 or Model 2 confirmation. But yeah, look how tight this price action is. So I'm not going to touch here anything until the supply or a Model 1. We will see what will happen. Now for the last trade, I want to elaborate on Farcoin. And here we had a nice model with our 1, 2, 3, nice curvature, and we went down. We created supply on the third tab, and I really liked this ranging environment here locally. With our 1, 2, 3, a Model 1, and here you can see the nice curvature here locally. A bit sharp, but you can see the lows are getting stacked. But I saw the opportunity for this to come down to this low. And this range at this point of the chart usually gets massive follow through. In this case, we touched the local range and went up again. You can see this was the 1% gain. So in total I had 1 break-even trade, 2 0.5% losses and 1% gain. So in this case it was a break-even week. And overall, if you don't lose when you are wrong and you win more when you are right, that's when you really get profitable. And in this case, I was wrong and still managed to not lose any money. Yeah, so here we had the nice push up on Fartcoin. Let me stay structured here. I'm hopping. So we had here our break, and well, my entry was a bit higher, I think. Yeah, well, we had the break here, but my alert did not went off, and I don't know why. So I entered a bit late, and I think I entered right around here, and then I put my orders in. Yeah, and I joined a bit late to the party, but still I was very happy, and I still entered because it was a decent risk to reward ratio of, well, I entered down here because I had like 6 point something, I think, and I entered right around here. I was a bit late to the party, and then I saw this aggressive follow through with supply creation, and we took out the range low here. As you can see, we took out the range low, and it's absolutely normal for price to come up again and build a range. And in this case, I saw the opportunity for a redistribution. This was in confluence with the redistribution on Bitcoin that I elaborated first on this video. And I thought, okay, if we can get a redistribution here, I would have shorted again and trade my stop loss to the new invalidation and be in profits here and risk the whole thing here back. So I would not only risk a percent, I would have risked like a percent plus the profits of the SL trailing. This would have been a massive position, because you can see this would have been a very tight stop loss and a potential high RR trade. But what happened here is we went up aggressively, created demand, we went down, and I was looking if we can manage to respect this, but there wasn't really a model 2, so this was a point of interest for a model 2, this lower high. We took it, but we SFP'd the low. That's why I did not enter. And we went up again, and we never got the break or a confirmation. And after seeing these candles close above here, I exited the trade with a percent in profit. And yeah, I have to admit, as I said, I want to be as honest as possible on this channel. In this case, I made a mistake. The mistake was to exit not because of the confirmation that this was going to fail, this local range. The floor here was, I was up like 3% down here, and I did not take a partial because the idea was to let it run, and with the expectation of Bitcoin going down, I was very confident that this would have done something like this, and it would have been a nice trade. That's why I did not take a partial profit. On my mental, it would have been easier to take a little profit here, to be a little risk off, and I would not have exited the trade here because of fear of losing. And yeah, I was up a lot, and then I saw price coming up, not respecting this model, and I closed the position. And yeah, after that I felt a bit guilty, I have to admit, because I did not stick to my plan. My plan was to either get stopped out, trail my SL, or hit the take profit. This was a plan, and in this case, I did not stick to my plan. And in this case, I managed to save 1% and be fine. But in some other scenarios, I maybe exit here, price goes up once more and then flushes. And how would you feel when you see price mitigate the extremes and then go down? You will feel very, very bad. Maybe jump in again. I'm over that. I don't do this anymore. This was a thing back then when I started trading. And it's a long time that this happened to me, that I exited a trade because of fear of losing. Long time. I usually just get stopped out and I'm fine. But yeah, never, ever exit a trade when you don't get the confirmation. A confirmation here, for example, were an accumulation, or when you see that the model is getting extended, then you can take a partial or maybe exit the position or something, or maybe put the stop loss to break even so you don't lose money on the idea. But there was not a confirmation, or in this case, you could have exited when you see that it does not respect the distribution idea at supply and indicating supply failure. But in this case, my thought process was not, oh, the distribution is failing, price is going up, let me exit the trade. It was like, oh shit, I don't want to lose money and let me exit the trade. And this is a key difference in the thought process. So yeah, in this case, Bitcoin was moving up aggressively. So you can see this was on the May 1st and it was here. So you can see Bitcoin was expanding very aggressively and Fartcoin really did nothing here. And when Bitcoin decides to distribute, this will distribute harder. So I'm looking for a new range here. I will elaborate on this on the next update. But I want to thank you for your attention. I hope you learned something about my flaws and thought processes. Leave a comment. I would appreciate a subscription and leave a like. Thank you very much. Stay sharp, stay grateful. See ya.